right, welcome to another episode of Between the Gates. Tonight, we have on our special guest, the Robbie Rodgers. I've been trying to get him on for a couple of weeks now. All right, Robbie, you doing okay?
I'm good, Kenny, man. How you been?
I'm great. Our schedules finally allowed us to link up. All right. So, this is going to be our second episode, and the title is ETICs, Troubleshooting, and the Tyranny of the Clock. Now, Robin, before we get into our questions, something that I've started doing on the show is asking people if they happen to remember the first time when we met. So, do you happen to remember the first time we met?
I sure do. You have migrated down from plans and scheduling and over to 380 line check. I do believe, not to blow you out in front of everybody, but I do believe you felt a little overwhelmed on the first night. How's that sound? How you remember it?
Yeah, what you're describing is actually correct, but I'm gonna take you back just a little bit. The first time we met, John Corey and I working the P shift, and we have a gate call out there on 777. And I guess you and your partner heard about the gate call, so me and John were already out there. And John was sitting in the flight deck, and I was standing right there in the doorway of the flight deck. And you come up there, and you push me in the bathroom.
Sounds like me.
You remember that? and here's the funny part. The reason why you pushed me in the bathroom, when I went through onboarding, when we were going through the process of ordering our uniform, yeah, I'm gonna bust him out. David Lee was helping me get the correct shirt size, and going back and forth between the screens, the default silk screen that you put on the back of those high vis orange shirts says line service. So we were so busy trying to decide what size shirt I need, he didn't go back and put the aircraft maintenance on the front. So when you come in the aircraft and you see me standing there in the doorway of the flight deck, he said, "Who's this line service guy?" And you just shoved me in the bathroom.
It's possible, man. It's definitely possible. Yeah. I'm not going to say I remember, but I'm not going to deny it happened either.
That was the first time we met. And then shortly after that, like you said, you and I hooked up and we were working together on the de-ice crew. And I will say this, out of all the leads I had over there at the 380 line check, you were one of my favorite. You and Larry J. You and Larry J. Y'all my favorite
leads.
I
appreciate that.
That's the truth, man. That's the truth. All right. So I'm gonna give you an opportunity now to tell the listeners a little bit about yourself. You can share as much as little as little as you want to. And say you got it.
All right. Well, let's see. Started back in aviation back in 97. Joined on with FedEx after coming back from college from Colorado, and had to pay off some debt, so I got on throwing boxes at FedEx. Went from there to load team, offload teams, ramp agent. Got interested in A&P. Went to school over at Tennessee Tech. When I got out, you had to have 7 years experience type aircraft, so I wasn't going to get it anywhere else unless I went into the military. So I went into the military, did 21 years with the military, came back to FedEx, and just progressed from there. Now I've worked in Memphis for 7 years and moved out to Colorado, still working for FedEx a year ago.
All right. Well, first of all, thank you for your service. We really appreciate that. We recognize all of our veterans over here between the gates. All right. So I'm going to be respectful of your time. Like I said, I know you traveling in and out, and I really appreciate Mrs. Rodgers for allowing us to do this. So we're not going to take advantage. Okay. So the first question I want to ask you is, for the people that's listening to the podcast that may be unfamiliar of what the term ETIC is, of course, it's an acronym. It stands for Estimated Time of Item Completion. Okay, and could you tell us what that means?
Well, ETIC, estimated time of completion, more or less is you're communicating through the channels about how long it's going to take you to not only troubleshoot, but to fix the job. Basically, have the aircraft back up, functional, back in service, able to continue its scheduling. So that entails not only troubleshooting, but that also entails, prepping for the job, cleanup, you know, management of tools, management of paperwork, and in doing so with all that, you've also got to manage your communications. Now that communication, not only through maintenance control, that's through FedEx Global Ops control, that's through your ground crews or your ramp agents and everything else, and even with the flight crews. I mean, sometimes you're on the hook with communicating with the flight crews. So
Okay, I think.
what?
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying, you got anything else to add to that?
No,
in your history?
I agree with you, and the key word is communicate. All right, that's it right there. Okay.
Yeah, without a doubt. We got a fresh one this past week, but we'll get to that.
Okay. All right. No worries. All right. So, the next question, since you said that, we have to make sure that everybody understands, because some people, they are brand new to this process, right? But we want to give them as much information as we can.
Without a doubt.
When maintenance operation control or the flight crew, like you said, or basically operations, asks you for an ETIC, what are they really asking for?
They're wanting to know if the actual plane's going to fly on their schedule is what they're really wanting to know. I mean, if we want to break it down. But in breaking that down, it all goes back to what we discussed earlier, which is communication. I'm telling them it's going to take me this long to figure out what's going on, how long it's going to take me to fix the job or fix the problem and do the job. And then if they got crews standing by that are, going to blow their duty day, or this aircraft's going to miss its window to fly in and go into a service check or an A check, a B check, a C check, they have to know all these things. So what I'm communicating to them is basically, hey, I can have this job done and the plane flying by this time, so that they know best how to gauge and schedule everything else. Because I mean, it's a huge operation. You're only one part of it.
I agree. And just to piggyback off of that a little bit, the airline that we work for is huge, and sometimes we do have spare aircraft. But I think the thing that you brought out and said that's most important, you've got so many other people that's dependent on that aircraft making this flight schedule. Like you said, if we have to go in and transload that aircraft, we have aircraft sitting around, but now you've got a whole nother department that's have to schedule and move that maintenance around that was counting on that airplane to be at its next destination. It's not going to make it here. And if it just so happens to leave late, that affects so many other parts of the operation, because, we pay, our customers pay us good money to get their packages there on time. And sometimes we have to get them a heads up, say, hey, package going to be late, Okay, so and not just for the freight world, but this is also very important for the airlines, because you got customers or passengers, if you will, leaving a regional airport and going to catch a big airplane, and they're not going to hold that airplane for 2 or 3 passengers.
No, I mean, if you've ever flown before, I mean, we've all kind of gone through it. I mean, like I said, I mean, we in the pre-show, we've talked about our experiences that we've had in this industry over the years. And I mean, I just went through something like that on the passenger side, but to kind of pick up on what you're talking about specifically, and we'll dive into this one job a little more detailed. But this past week, I had one come in on Tuesday, and it had an obvious hydraulic leak, but I had through years of experience, I was able to determine about where it was coming from, by, process of elimination. So once we depaneled, discovered what it was, you're waiting on parts, you're waiting on tools, to be flown in because it's a smaller station and you don't have, all that support. So it's got to be flown in. But, I'm sitting there cranking out for 16 hours, turning wrenches and, coming down to the last 3 hours. I mean, I've got MOCC calling me. I've got management calling me. I've got ramp agents, ask me if it's going to go. I'm like, well, the job, everything's going back together. I mean, it's good, but I still got to do leaks and op checks, and they're wanting me to gauge how many hours it's going to take, and I can give them the best guess at that point based off of my experience and prior mentorship. But, you don't even know if that part's going to be good.
Right.
I mean, it's very possible the part's bad and the plane's down. So, they got to start looking at, well, do we have something else out in the system that we can basically bring in and relieve the situation?
Okay. All right.
Got to have the notice for sure.
That's it. All right. All right. So since you took care of that question, I think this one kind of leads right up to it, and you kind of hinted to this a little bit without even really knowing. When you set an ETIC, where does the time actually go doing troubleshooting?
Well, I think troubleshooting comes down to experience, and you're only going to gain that experience through good mentorship and basically dedicating yourself to studying, the type of aircraft you're working. So, I mean, you got different fleet types. I mean, and every tech data manual is written differently, and even in the same fleet type. I mean, as you already know, the 5.7 is a hodgepodge mix of aircraft that they pulled from, different carriers. So they're all kind of configured differently.
Yeah.
But you've got to get your nose in the book and start understanding the actual system you're working on first off. But outside of, that diligence, once you go out, I mean, it's a process of elimination. So, for example, let's talk about this past week's leak. I mean, I obviously see it, just raining off of the left wing root. Having to tell ground crews, hey, don't walk in that sky draw. Don't want that dripping in your face and stuff. Well, I look up at it and I can see, okay, well, it's not up this high, so it's somewhere in this area. But now I've got to crack it open, right? How long is it going to take you to depanel? So basically, what you're doing is you're calling in. You're saying, hey, right now this plane looks like it's got a hydraulic leak. I don't know where it's coming from yet. I suspect it's from here. I've looked in the system schematic. I know it's behind that panel. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go look at what my actual, allowed leak is. Well, I mean, in this particular situation, it was one drop every 10 minutes.
Right.
It well exceeded that. So,
right.
I mean, it had to, and it's on a major flight control. It's what shapes the wing. It's what, creates its lift when it's basically coming into land and then gets it off the ground. So, long story short, this plane was automatically down.
Okay.
So at that point, they're waiting on me to get back to them to let them know, hey, it's verified. This is what it is. And after verifying what it is, hey, once you get the part, how long is it going to take? And, you obviously don't want to overshoot it. You want to give them best case scenarios. But I mean, and even with my experience, I mean, I undershot the ETIC, but the key phrase I use is will advise.
Okay.
And that's very critical, in our industry is using the right jargon, So a will advise is basically, hey, at this point in time, with parts and tools in hand, I will notify you and see if it needs to be bumped out, meaning add some additional time to it.
Okay. All right. But I want to go back to one thing.
Go ahead.
I want you to expound on this a little bit, if you will, because you said something very, very important a second ago. During your downtime, okay, you're not trying to sit there and find the end of YouTube. You, like you said, you have to do your due diligence to get into those books, those publications, aircraft maintenance manuals, IPC, system description, operation. You have to use that time wisely because if you don't, airplane's gonna come to your station. It's gonna be broke, and now instead of you actually spending time on the aircraft troubleshooting and wrenching, you're doing research, right? So I'm really glad you said that. I don't think enough people hear that. I think they need to hear it more. Because like I do, Robbie, aircraft are fair weather creatures. It's been pretty nice here in Memphis last couple of days. Temperatures in the low 80s, and airplanes don't break during that time. Airplanes only break when it's cold, wet, or hot and snowing.
Unless it's an MD that sat on the ground for longer than 12 hours.
Yeah, okay, I forgot about that. Okay, all right.
As you asked me to expand upon it a little bit. I mean, as a new mechanic, as an A&P mechanic, that license is only a license to learn. I mean, that's all it is. I mean, and a lot of people come out of the school and I spent all this time, I've done all this, and I'm this, and I'm getting into the job, and I've got money now, and and they'll see some bad habits from other people, but I mean, it's up to you to continue to grow. And I want to focus on that for a second. You come into the industry, you get a job, and you get hired, and you're making the money. You're going to run into people that have 20 years experience, and you may see them looking at YouTube, but they've earned it. I mean, they're there. They know the system. You don't. It's your job to not only be a good team player, but it's part of being that team player is getting in there and learning what the system is, and you don't have that knowledge base. And so you need to put in that time. I mean, just because you got the ticket doesn't mean that you're hot. You're not the guy, and you have to prove yourself, because a lot of these guys have been in the trenches for 20 years, and they're not going to give you a fair handshake. I mean, they may be nice to you, but you know what? A guy comes in who's brand new, I'm going to try to show him stuff.
Yep.
If he doesn't show me interest, he's not working with me. Period. Because at the end of the day, I don't want to have to clean up after him and his mistakes. But in addition to that, man, this job can be dangerous. And you're talking about my life, my livelihood, and my ability to come home to my family.
Right.
And the lives of the pilots that are flying these planes. I mean, I know you heard it in school. You teach it in school. You hear it, you can't pull these things over at 30,000 feet. Well, I mean, look at that UPS example. I mean, that could have been a lot worse than it was.
Yeah.
And you and I both know that. We discussed that. I mean, it's unfortunate, loss of life, but it could have been a whole lot worse.
Yeah. And one thing I want to say about that, and we kind of talked about this on the last episode. I think we got really lucky, Robbie, because that airplane going to Hawaii, it usually have 2 or 3 jump seaters on it. But the fact that it was just isolated to the crew, and the people on the ground. But we could have had some people on that airplane that wasn't even related to the flight crew. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I mean, look at the glide path in Memphis. I mean, everything comes straight over the city. Can you imagine something going down in some neighborhood with 120,000 pounds of jet fuel on board?
Yeah.
Running out, 200 knots, 250 knots, how widespread of damage that's going to be and how many people are going to die. I mean, it's just a nightmare.
It is. All right. Okay, Robbie, I got another question for you.
Shoot.
Can you kind of talk a little bit? I know you've seen it, and I don't know if this has actually personally affected you, but why are we as maintainers sometimes reluctant, scared, or stubborn to slide an ETIC to the right?
Well, because it's so fresh in my mind, I'm going to use this week, for example. you know, you want to look good, you want to look competent, but these guys have been doing this for so long. I mean, first off, they already know. They know about what it's going to take, but you can really, really show your knowledge level and your abilities if you're not willing to, give an actual ETIC and or slide it, which is the will advise we were talking about earlier, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I was here thinking about it, man. For example, I gave it a 6-hour ETIC, and I knew that was short, but at the same time, didn't know what was going to be completely involved, like removing substructure and ductwork, in order to get everything out. So, I mean, that's the first time I'd ever replaced one on the 5.7 fleet.
Yeah, I was gonna ask that.
But I mean, you do a lot of these jobs, and I mean, you're competent in what you're doing, but you really, really have to watch your tech data, your AMM, and where it's pointing you, what all is going to be involved. And then that's where we were kind of talking about earlier, where the whole team aspect comes in hand, because I'm very fortunate. I work with a guy who's been with the company for 45 years now. Granted, I'm doing all the work. I'm doing the majority of the work, but I mean, his skill and knowledge base is great, and I mean, and I could lean on him. I mean, I told him, hey man, I set this thing for 6 hours. He goes, we're going to go over that. I'm like, well, yeah, without a doubt, we're going to go over it, but at least they have an idea that we're confident that we can get the job done, right?
Okay.
I don't know if that completely answers your question, like you want it answered, but
no. Okay, so let me ask this question. All right. Do you think, or how much do you think pride is associated with that? So if you set an ETIC, and it may be realistic, maybe I'm shooting for the stars here, but do you think pride would keep a person from going in and adjusting that ETIC? Setting the ETIC is fine. I have no problem with that. But when it gets to the point where it's obvious that you're not going to make it, or you're going to come close, and you have the ability to slide it to the right, like you said, for planning purposes, and you don't, I think there's a very distinct reason why some people just will not slide that ETIC. And I'm just wondering, is it false pride that kind of gets in our way?
Yeah, but I mean, if you're going to do the job right, which we've just discussed, how not doing the job right could be a major issue. I would say pride sometimes in some of the smaller jobs, but in the bigger jobs like this, I mean, if I sit the ETIC for 6 hours and, I'm on this thing for 12 hours, I mean, there's no way I can even come close to accomplishing my original ETIC time, right?
Uh-huh.
So, and even with all the prep work we did before parts and tooling came in, I mean, like I said, I was already removing substructure and ductwork before, and obviously I didn't crack into the rigid lines or anything, because you never open up the system before you actually have parts and tools in hand. And obviously specialty tools that the company purchases, not the tools that you carry around in your normal day-to-day operation. But Kenny, sometimes the pride can come in hand and come into play when you're dealing with smaller jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Say, for example, like here's a perfect example. We were talking about earlier, gate calls, right?
Right.
All right, so you go out there, you get a gate call. The plane's already, usually during a gate call, plane's already being loaded or loaded. Final sent, you get a gate call to go out there and you tell a lead, hey, I'll be right back in 15 minutes. The lead's going to put that down in the files and relay that communication. Hey, I mean, that's pretty arrogant to walk out the door and say, I'll be back in 15 minutes.
Yeah, you don't
Not
know what's
even knowing
waiting on
what
you.
you're walking into.
Yeah.
I mean, you've seen it. I mean, you saw it with, when you were working with me over in 380. And a lot of times, I mean, the lead being able, he knows his crews, and he'll say, okay, I'm going to either enter this communication into the file or I'm just going to hold up till I get a phone call,
Right.
And you saw me do that as well. So,
And I'm glad you said that. So let me ask part two of that question, and I want you to be 100% honest. Have there ever been a point? Because I think everybody needs to hear this. Has there ever been a point in time where you set an ETIC, whether you thought it was realistic or not, and you got any kind of pushback from the higher ups, from MOCC, GOCC, the managers out there?
You're damn right. I have.
Okay.
That's part of learning and growing, brother.
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is. I mean, you don't know what you're doing until you're actually done it. And at the same time, usually those lessons right there, when you get pushback from the the higher ups, those are the lessons that stick, right?
Right.
So, I mean, not a single one of us is perfect. And like I said, I mean, this is a license to learn. Heck, I was talking about my partner. I mean, he's been with the company for 45 years, turning wrenches. And I'm teaching him stuff the other day.
Okay.
But we all have strong points. I mean, the ability to communicate, the ability to find tech data and research quickly through all your system schematics and wiring diagrams and AMM jobs, and being able to find that stuff quickly. But in addition to that, I mean, some guys are better at turning wrenches. I mean, everybody has a strong suit, so that's why when you build your teams up, you got to have trust and communication without a doubt. But yeah, to answer your question, yeah, buddy.
Okay.
Yeah, I've had my times.
Yeah, and you answered that perfectly, especially the part about assembling your team, and you have to know what your team's strong point and strong suits are, and you kind of put those people in those positions. Yeah.
Oh, without a doubt.
I like that.
And it's not that, I mean, you're going to have people that can perform any part of that team, but they're always going to have, their bread and butter, what they can go back to, but anybody can form part of it. But when you're in crunch time, everybody better know their strengths and get in place.
Okay. And one of the things that I like about the crew that we had over at the 380 Shack, when you and Mr. Sid and the
Andy Belt.
Yeah, there you go. Even if that was not your aircraft is gone. When one of us gets a gate call, everybody gets a gate call.
Oh, that's right. I mean, you got to be willing to flex without a doubt. I mean, if you're self-serving in this industry and all you think about is me, you're going to get a bad rap. And if you get that bad rap, it's much harder to get a good reputation and rebuild a reputation than it is to lose it.
That's right. And I can honestly say from the times that I got farmed out to other shacks, yeah, 380 was unique in that aspect because a lot of other shacks didn't play that. Your aircraft, your problem.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
On the go.
All right. So I got one more question, and then we'll go into Act 2. Do you think that it is more professionally mature in updating ETIC than stubbornly defending a bad one? And what I mean by a bad one, Robbie, this thing is literally getting away from you. It's getting away from you, and you have no hope in getting it back, but you're going to defend it at all costs. So is it more professionally mature to update the ETIC and slide it to the right, or stubbornly defend it and just hope you're going to come out. As MOCC said, we're going to give maintenance an opportunity to shine.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I mean, it's the maturity of it being able to, over time you learn that, like, you're not going to meet but maybe 50% of your ETICs, to be honest with you.
That low?
But I would say, I would say, yeah. I mean, depending if you found it on inbound or if it's a gate call, right?
Okay.
I say gate calls is probably, you meet probably 80%. But I'd say on something that's bigger, like it comes in, you say, golly, this gonna be a problem, I'd say it probably could be, 50%. Because, and the reason why I say that is because you may say that, okay, this is gonna take me an hour, right? Mm-hmm. Let's just shoot with that. It's an hour. And then you're digging into it. This is assuming that you know where to go in the tech data and how to follow the film and how to read the schematics and that you know where you're going. Okay. Mm-hmm. That's the first thing, because that's what, we live and die by the tech data. You know that. Does it have MEL support? If it's MEL support, great. I can lick it, kick it, stick it. Let's get it out of here. But if I've actually got to get troubleshooting, now I'm waiting on what? I'm waiting on parts, right?
Parts.
Do we have parts? Are there parts in stock? Are the parts good from stock?
Thank you.
Are the parts actually good from stock? You could spend an hour working this job, get it in, start your actual troubleshooting, ops check, and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Now, here's the crazy part about it. Now you're starting to double guess and worry if you actually troubleshot it right.
Right. And that's demoralizing.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, did I troubleshoot that right? And I mean, so then, obviously you got to take into play, is there a weather hold? I mean, are you doing something? Is there a weather hold? Right. Did you get into this job? Did you open up a can of worms that were pre-existing? Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of other things that are going into this. And so, you'll see a lot of times in this industry, we have a term called shotgunning,
Uh-huh.
So, they just start throwing parts at it.
Load the parts cannon.
Yeah, load the parts cannon, shotgun it.
Yeah.
Here we go. We just start throwing all these parts at it now. I mean, anything that's got an FAA approved stamp on it's going to be expensive. You already know that.
Yes.
I mean, you have a $1,500 bolt. I mean, and you turn around and you throw this part at it and this part at it and this part at it. I mean, you could be $2.5 million into the job. And there again is more responsibility for yourself because you're spending company money that may not need to be spent.
Right.
And if you turn around and throw a, $250,000 box at something, a control unit, and you haven't, really, really done your due diligence by running the film, and you fry that box, well, now you're $500,000 into it because the original box is fried, and now the new box is fried.
Right. And FedEx is, Robbie, a little bit unique in the fact that if you put a part on the aircraft and it doesn't fix it, you can actually return that part to stock. But most of your major airlines don't operate that. Okay, and here's how they go. If I change a flat slab control unit and it doesn't fix the problem on the aircraft, before I can return that part back to the storeroom, it has to go to quarantine. It It has to have a quarantine sticker on it. It has to actually go back out to the vendor, and it has to go through all the testing process.
Yeah, how much does that cost?
Oh man, you depending on the box. And another thing that
it also, hey Kenny, hang on, let me interject on that.
Okay.
It also depends on your communication when you turn it back in, because there's a comment section for you to say, this is what's going on with the system. And basically, and you got to describe what's going on so the vendor actually knows how to troubleshoot and what they're looking for. Because, there are a lot of guys and gals who will turn around and just put, part bad.
Yeah.
What part of it's bad? I mean,
right.
Give me some direction to start in before we have to run, a 2-day check on this box,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because some of those boxes control a whole lot.
A whole lot. And Robbie, the thing I think we're missing here is you would be very, very, no, you wouldn't be surprised, but the average person would be very, very surprised to see how many boxes we turn in, ship out to the vendor. And like you said, vague about the description, what's going on with it, only to have that vendor run all those tests on that box and return it back, no fault found.
That's right.
Well, that's not free.
No, that's probably $20,000-$30,000 a pop.
So you got companies that's out there just hemorrhaging money, and we, not to get too far from the weed and wrapped up in politics, but we complain we don't make enough money. They could give us more in our AIC,
No, you should get wrapped up in the politics and what the culture is, because it's like, man, I hate to blow someone out of the water. I'm not going to name any names, but we got called out to 6-7 to replace a turbo in the nitrogen system, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we get out there and they said, well, it's more likely this, and at that time I was working an out of service crew, and I was like, okay, so we went out there, and one of the things about out of service crew is, we've been through so many ups and downs with previous troubleshooting that we will actually start from zero. Okay. What was the condition? What is everybody saying they did? Look at the schematics, start troubleshooting through the system schematics, through the DNO, description of operation, looking at actual wiring diagrams and going back to the beginning. I want to trust, but I'm also going to verify, right?
Right.
And so we got caught out to this job, and we had read everything, and we went out there to start, looking things over, and we looked at the panel that had to be removed. And these guys said that they had checked the turbo and that it was fine. And we were like, really? Well, I said, do me a favor. Can you show me how to check a turbo without removing the panel? No, we took it off. I said, no, you didn't. He said, what do you mean we didn't? I said, because the panel's still sealed. I had to cut the sealant with a razor to access it. Well, we just, I was like, man, I'm not going to throw you under the bus, but don't lie to me, man. I need to get somewhere. I need somewhere to start from. If you're telling me you didn't check it, then be honest. You didn't check it. Don't just sit here and lie to my face.
Right.
And eventually they came out and they're like, man, we got busy. We didn't have a chance to really check it. I was like, okay.
That's good. That's good. All right. And I don't know if you want to talk to this, but I have to say this. Sometimes you get parts bad from stock. That's an actual
without a doubt.
Yeah, that's an actual
without
thing.
a doubt.
Yeah. All right.
So you want me to elaborate on that?
Oh, you can. You can.
No, I mean it happens. I mean, if someone doesn't put it in a description, as to what the problem is, I mean, you get bad apples everywhere, man. Sometimes they just kick the parts back to the company and charge them.
That's right. Yep.
And let's not even talk about parts we're pulling off the planes in the desert.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, that's a free fall right there. Yeah.
I had a valve come in on an Airbus one time. I had to climb up in the tail section. And I verified, the valve and all that. And then we waited for the part to come in. This is without a service crew. And so we show up the next day and the valve arrives and they had brought it in from the desert. And this thing's supposed to be clean, right?
Right.
Well, the vendor from the desert just put this thing in a bag, threw it in a box, sent it to us. This thing's leaking fuel in the bag. It's covered in dirt and sand. And I take some degreaser and I spray degreaser on it, start cleaning it up. I'm like, yeah, man, you cannot make this up. You can't send junk like this to us. And sure enough, I shot this thing down with degreaser and all the paint came off of it. Well, hey, it's just paint, right?
Right.
Well, one of the first checks in the tech guide is the coating intact?
There you go.
I've got no coating on it, so nope, this part's bad.
Uh-huh.
And who knows how much FedEx not only pays for the part,
the shipping it.
Can they give the part back to the vendor and say we need our money back? No, sure, okay, let's go with let's go. Let's go with that. Let's go with the fact that okay, they can give it back. Well, FedEx still had to spend the money to ship it.
Yeah.
How much fuel did you burn? How much did you pay the pilots to fly it here? How much did you pay each individual rampan to actually, load it? I mean, in the grand scheme of things, when you look at how the money breaks down, and you have people saying, well, and I want to go back to that turbo thing because one of the guys said to me, well, I mean, what's the problem? And I was like, well, I mean, we don't want to have to replace the turbo if it's not bad. He goes, well, I mean, the company could pay for it. They have unlimited money. It's like, man, do you realize how foolish you sound right now? Because whether some big wig that gets paid millions of dollars or down to the lowest paid employee for the company, I said, that's coming out of your paycheck eventually. I mean, I know the company's making money, but if you ever want, to look at the company giving you a raise as a mechanic, I mean, you got to show that you're doing your best to save the company money. I mean, that's the best way to justify it. And when let's not talk about FedEx. Let's talk about if you work for a small operation. I mean, let's say you work corporate jets.
Yeah.
And and they're every dime saved, every penny saved. I mean, that's money that could potentially go back to you or make or break the entire operation.
Right.
I mean, like there have been some heck, some carriers. I mean, I'm not saying a part, is going to basically make or break them, but every carrier is one accident away from going belly up.
That is correct. Yep. And
I mean, look at Pan Am. No, look at Pan Am. Big, and I mean, I know some of your students aren't going to know, much about it, but I mean, talk about Pan Am Lockerbie. I mean, that put that company under, and that was big Pan Am. They were one of the originals. They could never fail,
Yep.
I mean, they were one of the, as we would say, OGs.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And that just kind of takes me back to what you're saying about the corporate. Yeah, we're one part away from, we got gift cards and turkeys and hams for everybody for Thanksgiving. Or hey, sorry guys, we wanted to, but it just wasn't in the budget this year.
Exactly. I mean, everybody's dreams to go work for the majors, but when you get in it, you do it for a while, and I've even considered it myself. In fact, I almost went over to FedEx corporate. I mean, at some point, chasing and man, it's so hard to think like this when you're starting out. But at some point, chasing the money, you have to make a decision where, hey, this is enough quality of life, because Lord knows, I mean, I used to chase the overtime and and how much time I could be on the clock. But even that, you're limited by FAA regs.
Right.
And internal company regs. But at some point, I mean, you're gonna burn out. You're gonna say, hey, I need a little quality of life as well, because you can make all this money, but guess what? If you're at work all the time and you go out and you buy yourself this big, truck or hot rod or whatever you want to buy and how you want to spend and how you want to bling, guess what? You're just going to be driving that thing up to park it in a parking lot.
Yep.
So you can go to work.
That's
it. I mean, sometimes you got to find a happy medium.
And Rob, there's a running joke. Overtime's good. People get boats and helicopters but they can't never enjoy it because they always at work.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And you're spending all that time, trying to pay for it, or like you said, helicopters or an airplane. I mean, it takes a lot of money to keep a helicopter and an airplane in the air.
Yes,
a lot of money.
Yep. All right. Okay, so now I'm going to present Robbie, I'm going to present a scenario to you, okay? And I want to get your honest opinion on this. And of course, you're on the outside looking in, so I'm gonna be very, very limited in the information that I give you, okay? But we had two crews that were given the same exact discrepancy. Okay, so one crew, after understanding reading the discrepancy and confirming the discrepancy, they actually set an ETIC for 45 minutes. We had another crew given the same identical problem, except they set an estimated ETIC for 20 minutes. Now, the first crew finished almost exactly on time. I mean, they had like seconds to spare. However, the second crew blew out their ETIC by over 25 minutes. Okay. Now, without giving you any other background outside of what I just said, what is your first reaction to that?
Inexperienced, or they're padding the ETIC.
Okay.
Based off of what you just described to me, you're either talking about inexperience or you're talking about someone's padding their ETIC.
Okay, that's interesting. And neither of those are good. Yeah, neither one of those scenarios are good. Okay, I'm not gonna lead the witness here. What else?
Okay.
What else you got?
Well, I mean, as far as inexperience, I mean, do you have any experience with the system? Do you have any experience with, ETICs, which everybody does. I mean, when you're coming into the industry, everybody has any experience. I mean, that's a whole new concept to you. But on the padding side of it, I mean, that's either telling me that these guys are going to go out and they're going to be lazy, or they're just, not really into their job tonight. Maybe they're having a down day, or maybe this is just the way they work all the time, and maybe it's one of those members on the crew that is a slacker and is not very dependable. I mean, with my experience, that's what I've seen. When I was running lead spot over at 380. I knew who I could trust to get put on certain jobs, and who I just need to have, basically man the plane and do the basics and get it out.
Yeah.
Now, time for you to lead the witness, because
okay.
I have an idea that you're geared towards a certain type of conversation, and let's see where you're going with it.
Okay. So I was standing there, okay, and that's a very specific reason why I didn't give you more information. So now I'll give you more. The crew that set the ETIC for 45 minutes, they were a well-oiled, organized machine, and I didn't have to. What's the correct word I'm looking for? I didn't have to lead them as much. They had a pretty good general direction that they wanted to go in, The thought process was methodical. Let's evaluate and eliminate. Okay, and they actually use that time. They use their time wisely. Now, on the other hand, the crew that set the ETIC for 20 minutes, I had to, and not for the sake of helping them accomplish or meet their ETIC, I had to guide and coach those guys just a little bit more. And of course, at the 10-minute mark, I asked, "Hey, you guys want to slide your ETIC to the right?" And Robbie, I asked this question 3 times. And 3 separate occasions, I was told no. We think we're gonna make it. We think we're gonna make it. But I had to lead them a little bit. But once they actually got cooking and going, things kind of lined up. But your response.
Well, that's going to happen, buddy. That's going to happen from time to time. I mean, the clock is right twice a day, right? A
Right.
broken one, at least. Broken clock's right twice a day. But I mean, in the scenario you just drew up for me, I mean, it's team 2, the one that hit their ETIC at 20 minutes. I mean, they're receiving mentorship though, were they not?
Well, they blew that ETIC out by 25 minutes, and yeah, they had to. Yeah, and I don't think the setting of the ETIC didn't have anything to do with that. I think that there was pride involved. Let's see how fast we can get this done. And
I'm tracking, and maybe it's we're not hitting on the same communication here, and that's okay because that happens in the industry, and that's why we're gonna back up. And you're saying that the group that set their ETIC for 20 minutes.
Yeah,
they missed it by 25 minutes, right?
They missed it, but they went over by 25 minutes.
Okay. And perfect example of communication, because you and I are in the same company, we work together, but now you have gone over to another area and training, and our communication and our jargon and everything else that we use may be a little bit different. So that's why we're going to clarify our communication here. So yeah. So your group that shot for 20 minutes, they blew it by 25 minutes, and you were trying to mentor to them, and their pride got in the way because they thought they were right on. And
okay, and so now I see why you made that statement. So you were under the impression when I said you had 2 teams, 145 and 120, and that's the reason why you said that it was padded. Okay. Got it. Okay.
Perfect example why you've got to get good communication. You've seen me do it before, Cruz.
Yeah, that's it.
You see me have to back up and make sure that I'm getting the right information from the crew, so I know what direction I'm going in.
Okay. So does that? Okay. So with that new information, does that change your answer any?
Well, I mean, to me, it goes. I stick with the inexperienced.
Okay.
And then obviously, as I already said, it sounds like there was a little pride involved in it as well. Because, I mean, if you have the inexperience, and you know that you're got a lot to learn, I mean, you're capable, you can do it, especially with some mentorship. If you show the work ethic that I'm willing to learn and I'm willing to get out there and do everything I can do and put forth the effort, and your mentor tells you, hey, you might want to heed that warning.
Yeah.
Hey, this is based off some prior knowledge, years of experience. You might want to heed this warning. Adjust your ETIC.
Okay. All right.
Adjust your ETIC.
Got it. Okay. That's pretty good. Yeah. And like you said, that was a perfect example. Okay. All right. Perfect example. All right. Let me do this. I got a live feed going on.
All right. 100%. Don't be scared to ask the question.
Right.
I mean, don't sit there like you know what's going on. Don't feel like you're going to look dumb. I mean, I'm listening to your question. I think I know what you're saying. Now let me validate what you've said, because I want to make sure that we're both on the exact same page. Once again, this is safety of flight type stuff. It's you got to be on the same page.
Now, Robert, can I take a little sidebar here?
Without a doubt.
Okay, this is something that I've had to start doing during systems class. So I'm right in the middle of my Sermon on the Mount, and I'm giving it to them, man. And I have somebody that asks a question, and what you just said, and what I've started doing is using the parrot method. So if you ask me a question before I even attempt to answer this question, I'm going to repeat it back to you. Okay. And a lot of people look at me like, okay, he's stalling for time. It's like, no, because a couple of times you guys caught me flat-footed. You asked me a question, and I spent 10 minutes explaining. It's like, yeah, but that's not what I asked you.
Well, you better get used to it because that's where the industry standard is.
Yeah, so,
Honestly, think about it. I mean, you're receiving an AMP ticket. That's making you an airman. Okay. In the eyes of the FAA, you're an airman. Okay. Standard communication principles for airmen is for you to use, as you dictate, a parrot method. Okay. When a crew receives a command or instructions from tower, from your air traffic control, they have to read back exactly like tower said, or tower will say, okay, aircraft, flight, whatever, repeat. You have to repeat exactly like they said, or it's not a valid response.
Correct.
So if you're going to be in this industry, you better get used to it, because there are mistakes that are made, but we have to keep the mistakes to a minimum.
Okay. Yeah, that was pretty good. Okay. That was pretty good. All right. Okay. All right. So, Robert, when we first started getting this thing prepared, you agreed to give me an hour. Do you think our ETIC is going to slide to the right?
You can slide this ETIC. Go ahead and add 2 to it if you need to.
Perfect time.
I'll pad it for you, brother.
All right. Okay. All right. So I got another question for you. All right.
Yep.
And hopefully you can speak to this. I think you can, because with you being open the 3 of the line shack, you've seen inexperienced people, and you actually spoke to this earlier. Me coming back from MOCC to a line environment for the first time in a couple of years. Okay. Can you kind of tell us, why do inexperienced troubleshooters consistently underestimate their ETIC? And I think this will kind of allow you to piggyback on the last question I asked you.
I mean, I think this basically, obviously, keyword inexperienced, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, do you really take into account everything that's involved in the job? You know, I mean, you first off, you got to troubleshoot. You got to source your information as to what's going on. So whether you're getting a turnover from a pilot as to what happened, did you ask that pilot the right questions?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if he comes in and says, "Hey, so and so system is doing this," okay, sir, was that on the ground? Was that in the air? I mean, are you going to have to go and do all the work? Because I mean, some of these aircraft, when you're doing troubleshooting, you can do an override and put it in air mode, right?
Right.
Well, not all troubleshooting or aircraft are easy to put in air mode. I mean, if you've never done it, now you've got to go research that and how to do it. And that could take you in itself 2 hours.
Right.
So have you asked the right questions? Is the communication effective? So, and you only get that through experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you're not used to communicating with crews, if you're not used to, if that's flight crews or other maintenance crews, and asking the right questions, then guess what? You've already set yourself up for failure. So
I
that
agree.
being number one. Number two, I mean, do you know the system? Have you spent the time, on your downtime when you have it, looking at what other team members are doing, what kind of write-ups they have. Have you supported them? Have you gone in and have you looked at what jobs are going on in the system and trying to find out for yourself? Hey, if I ran into this, would I know how to approach it? You know, uh, then if you haven't developed the work ethic, hey, or ever had experience doing a particular job, or what tools are you going to need? What materials are you going to need? Are you going to need alcohol, degreaser, absorbent pads, you know, extra fluids for replenishing the system? So we start getting into all that. And then in addition to that, you have to add on, okay, you got travel time from whatever gate to whatever, how much traffic is out there. Because, if we're going to talk about FedEx in Memphis, how crazy that situation is, especially if you're, any time of day, but even at night. How long does it take you to get through the operation with all the tugs and baggage carts and dollies and everything that are being pulled around that complex? I mean, you start thinking about that, and then you still got to go back and you got to sign the job off.
That's it. That's it.
How long? And I've dealt with this numerous times where it's like people are like, yeah, I got the job done. Well, okay. Well, when are you going to sign it off? Well, the job's done. I'm going to take a break. No, hang on.
No.
This plane is waiting to leave. You have got to take the time because this plane is not legal until you've actually signed the job off. And so many mechanics get caught in that situation, especially. And this is a little caveat to that, which is, and I've dealt with it with a current partner that I'm working with who came from a hangar environment. And a hangar environment's kind of like, 72 and sunny and take your time. And I mean, if that's what you'd like to do, if you like, working the same job, hitting grease nipples every day, the same grease nipples for, 20 years, I mean, okay, that's fine. I mean, some people are built for that. I'm obviously not, and a lot of people aren't. So when it comes to, doing a job, it is so important for the aircraft to be FAA legal to fly, and that requires you to sign the job off with a legit reference.
Right. Thank you. And
I mean, you can't just throw any reference at it because you know what? There are guys who do it.
Yep.
All the time. But you know what? A lot of those guys don't last long in the industry because once you get so many marks against you with the FAA, they can pull that ticket.
Mm-hmm. And Robbie, have you noticed that Workbench has over the years gotten more complete, more and more complex? It's like you can't just throw anything in there now. You have to have the exact reference.
Yeah, it's definitely evolved. I mean, and they're trying to make the job easier. Because like I said before, I mean, you had guys that were, 7 years experience, in the industry turning wrenches. Now, what is it? 2-3 years minimum?
36 months.
36 months. There you go. And that's just for FedEx.
Yeah.
I mean, there's other places that might hire you right off the street,
right.
and there are. I mean, without going to a repair station. I mean, was it Darren's son got hired at United right out of 6 months out of school.
Okay.
So, but when you don't do your due diligence to offer an exact, at FedEx AMM reference or a film or whatever else, you run into, some serious issues. And, if your FAA liaison, sees your number come up too many times and you get too many dings against you.
Yep.
you spend all that time and money, get yourself in a position and then just shot yourself in the foot because, I mean, this is a highly regulated industry. Mm-hmm. And for good reason. I mean, you're talking about public safety.
Yep. Now, Rob, I got two things. And both of these are attributing factors to something that you said. So I made it a habit, and I did. I would meet my crew when they got off the bus. And a lot of times I'd have a couple extra 100 pounds of fuel on board. and running the APU in the summertime and heating in the wintertime. And I would sit there on that gate, and it's like, Captain, if you got any problems, just give me a courtesy flash with the flashlight before you write this up. I understand some things you have to go ahead and initiate, but I'm here, okay? But like you said, you got some people hanging out in the line shack trying to find the end of YouTube, and then they get a call on the baby monitor, and now they got to get in the line truck, and they got to drive like a bat out of hell across creation, running over everybody, riding down J line like they're a fuel truck, And it's like, hey man, if you just sit there at your aircraft, when that flight crew push that beacon on, in your last plane pushes out the gate for the night, that's when you go and have your leisure time. But before that, hey man, you're actively watching this aircraft, and that has worked out for me so many times. I've actually, I'm gonna say it's about 50-50. A lot of times the captain would flash me with that flashlight. I'd go upstairs and talk to him, and he wouldn't even initiate a write-up.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's funny that you say that, as far as initiating write-ups. I mean, an initiated write-up as opposed to, hey, just communicating with the crew before they write it up. I mean, that could save you 20 minutes right there.
Exactly.
Easily. I mean, but essentially what you're talking about is time management. I mean, like your company's paying you to be in place, to do your job, not use their resources more or less to sit there and for entertainment value. I mean, and you will have time for that without a doubt, but having to drive out, like I said before, through the operation, and by the time you get there's things written up. Now, what if your iPad's not charged because you had poor time management? You didn't charge your iPad. You didn't bring the tools you needed and put them in the truck because you thought a Leatherman was going to work for you. I mean, and I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, there are guys who get away with it for a little while, and you remember, I mean, the time you were there, John Morrison was with us, right?
Mm-hmm.
And John Morrison, fantastic manager. I mean, there was no gray area. It was black and white. He was cool as all get out, but it was black and white. Guys, if you get a gate call and you're not at your planes, at your gates, and you end up blowing, time, critical time, I'm writing you up.
Yeah.
I'm writing you up.
And you had to respect it.
No, I mean, he would come in and everything about the man was cool. It was his one thing: be at your gates. And if more managers would do that, or more leads would do that, enforce that, I mean, it would be great. And depending on where you go, I mean, it might be your standard policy. Hey, if you're not at your gate and you cause a delay because you have to go across the ramp, you're getting written up, and enough write-ups, you're fired.
Yep. There you go.
How are you going to explain that when you try to get your next aviation job?
Yeah. Okay. Now, here's the second part. And again, this is a trivial factor to something that you said. We got to go back in time, Robbie, to my Pinnacle Airline days. So we had a special crew, and they were the sheet metal crew, right?
Right.
And you would have like times where they would come in and they would have no assignments to them because they didn't have any sheet metal jobs. And they were the guys that would actually prep the aircraft, for the sheet metal repair. And it's like, I'm the lead over there in the hangar, and I'm short-handed one night. It's like, hey, just because you guys don't have anything to do, y'all could easily come over here and help these guys out, because as you're helping them out, you're also learning. I said, because there's going to become a part or a day where somebody's going to call on you to do something as part of this sheet metal crew, and you're not going to have a clue. Oh, wow. Yeah. You think they came over to help us out, Ronnie?
Nope.
Absolutely not. And
nope.
that day that I warned them about actually came. So they had some kind of job they had to do where they had to jack the aircraft, and you had 3 brand new guys over there on that sheet metal crew, all of which who were invited to come over, hang out, and play with us and learn. They didn't have an idea about where to get the jack pads, how to seat the jacks, none of that. So now you don't have free time, and you're asking us to stop what we're doing and come over there and help you out. It's like, you know what? I made them sweat a little bit. We went over and helped them out, but we made them sweat a little bit. It's like, okay, so the next time they came in, they didn't have anything to do. Guess who was helping us do the service check?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
it worked out. Oh yeah, well, we've all run into that. I mean, it's one of the dirty areas of aviation where you get into a back shop and you think that you have this sole responsibility, and you never know where you're going to get in, especially when you have an A&P license. But just like you said earlier, I want to piggyback off your experience here. My experience is, we've run into that, whether it was in, the military where, you had specialty back shops who, you can only work on one thing. You can't work on the whole thing. But, I was a crew chief, and I was constantly having to go help out the back shops because as a flying crew chief, home station, I'm not supposed to touch that system according to Air Force regs.
Okay.
But when you're on the road and you have emergency decompression somewhere over the middle of the Pacific and you have to land on a little island, you're expected to know how to fix that plane, even if you're not allowed to touch it at home station. Right. So, and I think the real thing is, even if, your students don't go that route, but the point is that the more you develop your skill set, and you become a master, as much as you can at every aspect of aviation, mechanicking, you've diversified yourself because it's like anything else in our society. There's ups and downs. Well, if you're, in aviation and you get on with this company and this company goes, belly up, well, your skill set can actually, transfer over to other industries. Obviously if you're a sheet metal guy, you could transfer over to working on anything that's dealing with composites, but at the same time, if you've got a skill set for, reading electricals, that could cross over to, to any kind of electrical work. And with the way the industry's going, you're talking about drones and robotics and everything else, these are skill sets that are going to pay you in the long run, because if you don't have the skills, you're very limited. You're not diverse.
That's it.
And then you're done.
That's it.
Because this, as you said earlier, we were talking about evolution of signing jobs off in the system. This industry and this society are constantly evolving. So if you don't have skill sets to carry you through, you basically painted yourself into a corner.
What they say, one trick pony.
Yeah, I know a couple of guys are like, man, they'll bid one line shot, right?
Yeah.
Because only one fleet type comes in, and that's all they want to work. And you put them on something else, they may be superstars on their one fleet type, but you put them on something else and they lock up.
There you go. Okay. All right. So I got another question there for you, Robbie.
All right.
Is it fair to say that many people estimate the repair instead of estimating the investigation? And I asked that because when you started talking about your hydraulic leak and then you got your substructure, and there was so many things that went into getting that airplane prepped, and you didn't even have parts in here.
Right. So, yeah, as far as, you're sitting there and you're like, I can get this job done quick, right? The investigation, in fact, To be honest with you, Kenny, I mean, I didn't even give an ETIC till after I had verified what the job was, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you're coming out on a gate call, crew says, "Hey, man, I look like I got a leak here, right? You know, a fuel leak. Let's say a fuel leak, right? I mean, can you really give an legit ETIC? I mean, on a fuel leak? I mean, I hate to answer a question with a question, but
I don't think so. I wouldn't.
I mean, how, I mean, what are you going to have to do? You're going to have to defuel the plane to a certain point, right?
Right.
You're going to have to. Is it leaking out of an access panel? So you're going to have to defuel to a certain point on that wing to figure out, okay, can I pull this off? Can I torque it? Which would probably be the first thing I would do.
Right.
I'd go up there and I'd clean it up and I'd see if I couldn't, retorque the screws. If it retorques and I sit there and watch it, make sure it doesn't leak again, guess what? I could sign it off as what I did, but then I'm going to tell MOCC, put this on leak check.
There you go.
Put it on leak check because it's going to the next station. It's not leaking right now, but then you got thermal expansion and contraction. It may start leaking again. But aside from that, I mean, we're going to go into what? You're going to go into, okay, you got to defuel it. You got to pull the panel out. There's got a bad gasket on it. You got to have to reseal the whole thing, retorque everything. Now you're going to have to flood the tank and it's going to have to sit there for leak check. What's the leak check standard for that? Well, you're going to have to consult the AMM, right?
Right.
But now you got to sit there and let it sit under leak check. And that's just at an access panel. What if it's leaking out of rivets? Now you got internal bad sealant. So now you're going to have to drain it, call in, a specialist fuel cell team. They're going to have to get in there. They're going to have to turn around and vent it out, get in there, determine where the leak is, seal it up, wait for a sealant cure time, flood the tank, let it sit under leak check. But then if it happens again, they're going to have to redo the process. Mm-hmm. So can you really give that legit ETIC? Basically out of your inexperience, I would say, or instead of estimating the investigation, I mean, the investigation is what?
That's your
the investigation
process.
is the investigation is the investigation. It's not the actual ETIC, right?
Right.
I mean, how, as I said earlier, I mean, how can you give an ETIC when you don't even know what the problem is?
Right. But I think it's, and we kind of touched on this earlier. If that aircraft has to get transloaded, there's a sequence of events. So I don't want anybody to get bent out of shape because you got people jumping up and down from different departments and things are starting to skip.
Oh, that's gonna happen, bro.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't want the guys to feel like they're obligated to give an ETIC and it's not realistic and they can't live up to it. And what you're saying of all the keys and elements that go into that'll probably help somebody. Yeah.
Well, let's go back. I hate to keep on referring back to this job, but I mean it is the freshest one because I mean it took 2 full days to deal with it, right? Like, I'm on a 10-hour shift, and I worked a 15-hour day and a 16-hour day, right?
Right.
So, but when it came in, and I'm just sequence of events, okay? You use sequence of events. When it came in, I started doing my exterior walk around, right? And I noticed that it was this is a good thing for you guys to know. So you're walking around. I mean, you're not just looking at the airplane, you're looking at the ground, right?
Right.
I'm looking at the ground as much as I am the airplane because if I got a leak, there's going to be drips on the ground, right?
Mm-hmm.
going to be a wet spot. So first thing I have to see is some drips, and I'm like, okay. Continue to look, and I saw that from a distance, and then I'm walking up through, and then I'm walking at the side of the airplane at the wing root, and I'm watching a steady stream come down. Well, I mean, you're looking at the color of the fluid, and you're like, okay, well, I pretty much know what that is. Hey, ground crew, hey, ramp crew, guys, don't walk in this. So I continue to do my walk around, right? And I'm walking around, and I'm seeing everything, and take another glance over there, and looks like the puddle's growing, right? So I go upstairs and finish my upstairs and come back downstairs, and I start addressing it. Well, I get an obvious leak. It's hydraulic fluid. So now I got to get in there, and I haven't even called MOCC and let them know, right? It doesn't need to be in their wheelhouse yet. I don't need to jump the gun. It's hey, I've got a leak. Maybe you call your lead and say, hey, I got evidence of leak at the left wing root, and I don't know what it is. I know it's hydraulic fluid, and I know I got to get access behind this panel, but I do not have anything else to tell you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, wasn't until I got stand in place, truck in place, and I depaneled. The only person I called at that time was because I work at a 3-man station. I called the PM mechanic. I was like, hey, you feel like coming in early to assist me with this? Because I got to have someone upstairs who's qualified to run, the flight controls through. So, he gets up there and he starts running it through, and I mean, there's where I noticed where it was coming from. I mean, it is the control valve on the slat PDU. And the thing was, it was not leaking until it was actuated.
Uh-huh.
And now you're looking at it, you're like, man, this thing's been going on for a while. How do you know it's been going on for a while? Because all the paint's bubbling because it's SkyDraw and it's eating the paint off.
Right.
The interior. So I'm like, this has been going on for a while. Well, you sit there and you look at it like, okay, did each station just kick it out? Well, I mean, maybe nobody noticed. Like, it comes into Memphis, it may sit there for 2 or 3 hours, and a lot of work is done, and you might just go clean it up because you don't know if there's residual hydraulic fluid. I saw it right when it came in; it was actively leaking. So, so at that point, you're looking up there with your inspection mirror and light and everything. As long as it's not spraying, because I don't want to take a SkyDraw shower, right? So now I see that it's dripping. Now, what are the leak limits? Well, in this particular case, it was 1 drop every 10 minutes. Well, this thing is dripping like a faucet you turn on during the wintertime, so it doesn't freeze. So I'm like, well, we're well out of limits. Well, where's it leaking from? Oh, okay. Can I tighten that up? Is it something I can actually tighten up? Is it a plug where I can replace an O-ring? Which is something I had just did a month before on a right aileron, right? You get into a components manual and you're able to replace just that O-ring. I mean, that worked out great because, the SkyDraw would eat an O-ring out. But in this particular case, the housing was leaking from the end cap, and that's a bench level vendor rebuilt. So no, there's nothing we could do. So at that point is when I called MOCC and said, hey, this plane is down. You need to schedule a relief flight to come pick up the freight. And so in that scenario, that was the process of communication and events that happened. So I couldn't set an ETIC based off of my actual, investigation. I mean, I didn't even, and granted, you have, the rampagers coming in there, all they're thinking about is, I got to get this freight out. I got to figure out getting this freight out. I'm like, calm down. I've already called you for relief. But, then the very next night, They ended up having even more freight because they had a big drop of big shipment and they needed 2 planes. And so the Rampage is now turned into the Tasmanian Devil because they got GOCC breathing down their neck. They're trying to manage when the crew's being called to the station. And I'm like, you guys just need to calm down. This is what I got to do. I've got to finish putting this in. This is about how long it's going to take. Then we got to run ops and leak checks. And that's assuming the part's good. Then I can tell you that this is the time that the plane will be able to go. And, we met it. I mean, we met our, got the crew out, everybody got out, everything was good. The aircraft was safe. The only caveat to it was we didn't have enough time to apply sealant to the panel. So I had to call and get an OIL applied to the aircraft because, adding sealant and cure time, I was like, nope, not going to happen. We need to go speed tape. So we got a speed tape authorization to get it through, and it's was for 3 days, and lo and behold, guess who they kicked it back to? Our station. No. They kicked it back to our station, so it's going to drop dead 3 days at our station in order to do the sealant application. I was like, yeah, go figure.
Well, look, Robert, they knew you had your pride involved in that at that point.
Yeah, I don't want them leaning on us too hard. They're going to start sending us all the broke stuff, and then I'm going to have to convince my manager to hire 2 more people.
There you go. Yeah, keep me in mind.
Yeah, you want to come on out?
Yeah, I will.
Yeah, it's not a bad gig, brother.
Yeah. Okay. So I got another one for you. Have you ever seen, or has this happened to you, where poor troubleshooting habits create poor ETICs?
Oh, well, without a doubt. And as you mentioned, John Quarry earlier, John came over in a 380 with you, and then John stepped up to management, and we had on the PM shift at the 380 shack, there was you have an early PM and then a late PM. Well, I came in on late PM, and the guy who originally got the job, he YouTube it, didn't do his job. So when we came in, I saw him. We got our work cut out for us tonight. I'm like, all right, let me get a good turnover here. So I dove into it, started reading what was going on and all the history with it, and they had us replacing it's got a fuel valve on a 777, right? And so this early PM guy had given an ETIC that was going to be done by the end of shift, right? Well, this plane was out on the line. It was probably 20 degrees outside, and so we came in. I was like, well, hey, what's going on with this? And he's like, yeah, it's real easy to swap this out. Okay, great. And anyways, long story short, he hadn't done anything. So me and the late shift partner that I had, we dove in to find out. We ran through the IPC, verifying we had all the packings we needed for this job. This guy had plenty of time to do it. He didn't do it. So we had to make sure that we had everything we need before we pulled this part out, and then ran into a problem. Mm-hmm. So, of course, this early guy gets off, earlier than us. So he bails, and my partner up there doing the job, and John shows up. And John's like, man, what's taking so long? I'm like, what are you talking about, John? Well, I mean, the ETIC was this, and I heard you guys didn't want to do it out in the cold. And I said, ho, Johnny. I said, when you came down to 380, I trained you. You know my work ethic, man. You know my integrity. So I had to give him the whole backstory as to, how we ended up where we were in this particular process.
Right.
And so the unrealistic ETIC was already set, but I was not given that information. So and John just called me. I've been like, look, man, you need to push this. It'll be done. But one of the parts that that wasn't accounted for, and this, how, you know how the 380 operation was because you had to work with the hangers, right? So I went and looked and I said, well, I mean, this thing's scheduled for, C-check, right? I was like, it's got to go in the hanger. Or excuse me, let me rephrase that, B-check, right?
Right. I know what you meant.
And so, anyways, it was due to go in the hanger. Well, why would I set up and do my job off of a lift truck only to have hanger come out and say, hey, we need you guys to break this down so we can get the plane in the hangar so we can start preparing for our B check.
Right.
So I got with hangar management, was like, hey, why don't we go ahead and push this in the hangar now and we can work off the hangar tail stand. We don't have to work off this truck. It's warmer inside and you guys can start your prep work. So, that whole process took, probably about an hour. And John didn't understand why we made that call until, I explained everything to him. But, he was getting bad information from, several different people until he came to talk to us. So, yeah, that's where the ETIC situation got kind of out of whack. But, you run into that a lot in this industry.
Yep. That's good. That's good. Good story. All right. Okay. All right. So let's come on down here. Let me say this because you and I have had some offline conversations about this, right? And this is going back. This is going back to our training evolution the other night. Okay. So we had some maintainers, if you saw it, maintainers in training, if you will. Robbie, they became very fixated on collecting voltage readings that ultimately did them no good in isolating or identifying the fault. Have you ever seen somebody get wrapped around the axle and get so fixated they get tunnel vision?
Yeah, it happens. I think it happens to everybody. I mean, it's happened to me. I mean, I'm sitting there and I'm racking my brain as to look, all this is checking out. It's all coming back to this one thing, and this is where your mentorship comes in hand. Okay, if you will have integrity and work hard and present yourself as, hey, I'm capable, but I'm just not getting this. I mean, like I said, this is the license to learn. I've been doing this for 25 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And my 45-year partner, not 45-year-old, but 45-year partner says, hey, did you consider this? And I'm like, no. I mean, suck up your pride. No, I didn't think about that. Yeah, well, in my experience, your mentorship comes in. So we had a box, kept on getting these faults on the flight deck. Didn't know where it was coming from. I had to run to this system, Knew it. I knew I was in the right area. I just couldn't figure it out. And he's like, yeah, man. He goes, you're all on top of it. He said, why not? While we're in the E&E, right? We're up in there with all the control boxes and computers. He says, do me a favor. He goes, crawl around to the backside of that, right? So here I am all crammed up in this thing. He's not going to do it at his age. So what I do, I crammed up in there, and lo and behold, exactly what he said. There's a jumper block right there, and somebody had already been back there working, and they had knocked a wire and ripped it right out of its pin.
Okay.
And he called it on the spot, man. But he only did it because he had seen it before. I mean, I'm not quite sure if that's right where you wanted to go with this question, but I think it's probably pretty valuable information that, hey, no matter how much experience you have, I mean, if you get fixated and, as you say, wrapped around, thinking this is it, and you're fighting and standing your ground, and you're not open to other possibilities.
Thank you,
brother. You are going to have you're going to have a hard time adjusting.
Thank you. I'm so glad you said that. And you're right. And it's like I do, Robert. Sometimes it is very, very difficult to be the voice of sanity. Everybody wants to check this. Everybody's got an idea. It's like, you know what? Okay, so I'm just gonna sit back and we'll see how this play out. And once you guys have exhausted all of that, oh, what was that idea you had? Oh yeah, okay, yeah,
Yeah, I
and,
mean,
and that happens too.
listen, I mean, we were out of service crew. We all get called out. I mean, some of these guys are, when I say it, Kenny, they're shit hot, man. Some of these guys are really, really, really good at what they do, right? And we got called out on a leak and number one engine on a 6.7, and we're all looking. You know, I haven't looked yet, but it was 4 of them that actually took a look, and man, it's got to be from here, you know. And I'm like, yeah, you know, and they're all looking around, like, I don't see it, you know. And I climbed up on the ladder and I looked in there and I looked at it. I'm like, all right, point to me, tell me what you've looked at. So they had told me, and man, I agree with them, man. It's got to be here. And it just so happens that I just decided to get up a little bit higher and look on the back side of the tube. And sure enough, there had been a braided line that someone put in, and they didn't take the care to make sure that it wasn't touching.
Uh-huh.
And it had rubbed itself straight through a rigid line. It just braided it, and there it was. It was a Simps line that had just been, just like I said, eroded through.
Mm. Okay.
It's like, and these are guys, you know, you're talking about between, you know, the 4 of us. I mean, you're talking about 100 years plus of experience.
Uh-huh.
And you have to humble yourself. You're not going to know everything. You're not going to find it every single time. It's going to be someone else. And then a lot of times it's going to be a junior guy.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
The junior guys get the shine too. If they're paying attention and they're trying and they're putting in the effort.
Uh-huh.
If you think you just made it to the big leagues and it's coasting time, well, like I said before, it's going to be a hard life for you.
There you go. All right. So Robert, this actually, I don't know. I think this kind of, I guess, will be part 2 of that question I just asked you. Have you ever watched someone spend 30 minutes proving something that was not actually part of the problem?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that all goes back to the parts cannon shotgun thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Bobby Harrison and I got called out on a job. And we're troubleshoot it. And I mean, it's got close to, you know, $1.5 million already thrown at this plane. Right.
Wow.
And we go up there and we find out that the other crews that had worked it had crossed the wiring connections. So everybody was saying it's this, no, it's got to be this, and then, you know, the part that had been put in 3 times, mind you, 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
We had just decided to go back and to the basics. Let's look at the wires. Let's look at the wiring diagram. Let's verify the markers on the wires, and they had put the wires on in the wrong orientation.
Okay, and that's very easy that can happen very easily.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, man. I'll be the first person to tell you. You got this technology in your pocket.
Uh-huh.
Pull it out and take a couple of pictures.
There you go. I like it.
Take some masking tape out there. Put some tape on it. Write some indicators and some marks. Man, you start getting into pulling all this stuff out. You're like, golly, am I going to get this thing back in right?
And please don't mix time pressure in on top of that.
No. I mean, there you go. I mean, it happens all the time, man.
Yep.
Because,
all right.
I mean, you think about, just some simple stuff, man. I mean, you get a plane, 777 comes in, you get an IDG indication, you go out there, it should already been serviced to full and bled off and everything, no problem, it's just a simple job. You're hooking up a Bowser and a drain tank, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're sitting there, you're pumping, you're like, man, this thing is not draining, this thing's got to be over service. So this is Mr. Sid here. Mr. Sid hears me on the radio calling in. Hey man, we're having an IEG drain issue, and Sid swings by. You know how Sid was, man, ultra supportive. He swings by, and we've already popped the outboard engine cowl, and 777s are electric. They got an electric pump, and they use the hydraulics and pump it up.
Right.
Sid comes over there, pulls off the drain, takes a screwdriver, hits the poppet on the IDG. Of course, he had a 5-gallon bucket there, and the drain plug, the check valve, was stuck, and so here we are draining out like, a gallon of oil, and then that's his experience. He's like, yeah, man. We could not figure out why the sun gun wasn't draining. So we're like, wow, well, good on you, Sid. So he's like, yeah. So we start going to put the door back down. This door won't go down, man.
Oh yeah.
And we're like, what in the heck is going on? So they call it the PTOS system on the 777.
Yeah, PTOS,
so you have to climb. Yeah, so you got to climb up on top of the engine and pull panels, and you've got you got four. You got a supply and you got a return on each side.
Uh-huh.
And so we're sitting there and we're trying to figure out, it was John Beard and I, we were trying to figure out how to get this thing to go down. And we ended up inducing a fault bad enough that we had to cancel that bird. And it all was from a simple IDG service. But we didn't know we'd open up a can of worms by opening up the door in the PTOS system.
It was waiting on you.
Yeah, it was. So here I am standing on top of this engine, and I'm down inside this hole, and I'm like pulling lines, and man, I've read this. I've read the schematics. And Troy goes, man, he goes, you already pulled the other three, you might as well pull the fourth. I was like, you're right. So, it had to be that, right? So I went ahead and packed a bunch of absorbent pads down in the top so it wasn't all bleeding down and making a huge mess. And sure enough, man, I pulled that line and it just, door started dropping.
Yep.
It started dropping, and it turned out to be that quick disconnect there is actually a check valve. And the check valve had gone bad, so we had to replace the check valve.
Okay.
Yeah.
Man.
That's more of a story than it is an answer to your question.
No. That's the good stuff. Let me ask you this. You remember that night Troy used his 3/8 socket and ratchet to open the main gear door? Not main gear door, but the main cargo door?
Yeah.
Yeah, because we had ran through all the batteries in the shack using the drill. And I think the Ramples wanted to pull one can off. And it's like raining sideways out there. And it's like, hey, man, let's go over here and give Troy a break. No, I got it. Man, he let that whole door all the way up with his 3/8. I was like, man, this dude's a beast, man.
Yeah. He's definitely pissing vinegar.
Yeah. Stories from the flight line. Okay. All right. So, right back out. One more to action about the team concept, if you will. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed during the practical evolution the other night that some team members had a pretty good idea of what the answer was, but they remained silent and they actually watched the crew chief struggle. How important is it to communicate and speak up during troubleshooting? And this has been just peppered out through our whole conversation. So I don't know if you got anything else to add to that, but I think
Well, I
somebody
mean,
needs to hear that.
I think we touched base on it several times through this conversation, and if more directly, we'll say that, I mean, if you're pretty, not, oh, well, it may be this, right? If you know the answer, man, speak up. I mean, speak up. If you've experienced it, if you know the system, speak up. Let's don't let someone sit there and waste, their time, the company's time, everyone's time, if you know the answer. And even if you don't know the answer, but you have an idea,
Thank you.
float the idea. Hey, listen, we've done this. My understanding of the system is this. Can we take a second to look at the D&O, description operation, and or the system schematics, and see if we can all come together and say, okay, this is direction we're going to go, instead of just kind of, and I remember going through these exercises when I was in school, and, everybody, they get a little apprehensive about speaking up. It's like, man, you may, like we talked about before. I mean, everybody has their strengths. Hey, you may know this type system better than someone else. Speak up. Let them know.
Do you think it's a lack of confidence or a fear of looking bad if your answer is all smoked up?
I think it's both of them.
Okay.
Personally, it just depends on the individual. I mean, yeah. Do you have an individual that has lack of confidence? Well, I mean, why do they have the lack of confidence? Because they've spoken up before in the past and they got made fun of. Well, I mean, once again, it goes back to what we were talking about. Hey, this is an industry where, hey, you need to be humble, and there will be times where you're humbled. But guess what? There will be times you'll humble somebody too.
You know what? That's interesting. I didn't think about it like that, Robbie. I never looked at it like that, and I make it a habit, especially in systems class and engine run class. You are 1,000% correct. You could the gleam is in the people's eye, and they wanna say something, but it's like, nah, and I tell the guys there are no wrong answers. Now that doesn't mean that we're going to agree on everything, but I'm not gonna kick your legs away from up under you in front of a group of people just because you thought that this was the answer. It's not important to me that the answer that you gave was incorrect. It's more important to me is to understand why you thought that was the correct answer, so I can help get you back center line.
Yeah, I mean, without a doubt. I mean, this, and by doing that, as you were saying, get you back to center line. They have now exposed that the communication that they received, that in their interpretation of it or interpolate, was not spot on, and that their understanding of what's going on is not crystal clear, and they failed to communicate, hey, I don't quite understand this. Can you present it to me in a different way? I mean, we all know there's different ways of learning. You have people who are visual, people who are audio, hands-on. Everybody learns differently, and there's a mix of that. But if you don't, speak up, then all you're doing is just shortchanging yourself.
Okay.
I mean, don't be the arrogant person either. I mean, like I said, stay humble. But once you develop rapport with your classmates in this situation, or with your partners and your teams, I mean, develop that rapport. I mean, and you're going to have some old crusties out there, man. when I first got out to my station, man, I came on and I was talking to the old guy, 45 year, number 20 at the company, and he came across a little crusty. I mean, and give it time to play out to develop those relationships because, man, they've been doing this for a while. They don't know if they can trust you or not. They don't know if you're a dirtbag or if you're a superstar. They don't know anything about you. I mean, you're one person of 8.5 billion people on this planet. What do they know about you? You
Right.
know, give it time to develop, but at the same time, speak up. If you don't understand, ask a question.
There you go. And Robbie, something that I've noticed throughout my instructor career, it is easier for the maintainers to quote unquote learn from each other. I think it's because they consider themselves on the same playing field, whereas it may take on a different shape, form, or fashion when I do it because they consider it to be in the field, experienced, already licensed, and I do my best not to talk down to anybody, but that peer-to-peer understanding or that peer-to-peer mentorship, that goes a really long way. And sometimes I just have to get out of the way and I just let them guys do their thing.
Yeah, they have to bang their ideas off of each other at their level of understanding. I mean, sometimes, like I said before, I mean, we have a way of talking, being in the industry for a certain amount of years, and I mean, it's just to them, it's just babble,
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
mean, they gotta come to it their own way. But I mean, I think a lot kind of going back to what you said before is when you're younger, and I'm not knocking the individuals because I mean they're all students. I mean we all go through different stages of our life, but we also know, and you can attest to this, which is you have that cool guy factor, right?
Yeah.
Where do I stand in the crowd, right? Yeah, especially when you're young, right? You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I got to look cool in front of everybody. I mean, and when lives are at hand, that cool stuff wears off, especially when you're in a professional career.
Right.
It's you have a job duty, you have people's lives in your hand, and that cool stuff's gotta go to the wayside. I mean, I don't know if that has any value to you, but I've seen it a lot, especially with the younger adults that are coming in. It's like, look, you can learn together, but do not hesitate to develop relationships with your senior guys and get mentorship because you might think there's some old crusty guy who's had his day. See you later, Grandpa. Hit the road. Go ahead and hit retirement. But guess what? When you lose this guy that we're going to lose here soon, that's 45 years of experience talking, brother.
That is experience that you cannot get back.
No, I mean that guy can teach you something that, and it's like, I mean, it's just like I keep on coming back to it. Keep yourself humble, not a fake humble. Just be humble. I've got a lot to learn, and if I know it, by damn, I'm going to speak up.
Yeah.
But if I don't, I have an idea, and I'm going to share it with you.
Okay.
And be willing to stand your ground as well. I mean, if you know your business, I mean that's going to go a long ways in the old man's eyes too.
Right. And be willing to learn from your mistakes because you will make mistakes.
Yeah, laugh at it, man. If you can't laugh at yourself, who can you laugh at?
There you go. All right. Okay, so you told us about your hydraulic leak. We talked about your original ETIC. Okay. Can you honestly say that you learned any lessons from that event that would actually influence how you set ETICs in the future?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, I called it 6 hours. Tom said, yes, I would have called it 10. Well, we were both wrong, but and that's coming from the mentorship. But what I particularly learned was, you got to take into, I guess I didn't take into account how long it was going to take to do ops and leak checks. You get in there and okay, I'm removing substructure, I'm moving lines, I'm moving ducts, it's all off, goes back in, everything's hooked up, you've done torques. Oh, and by the way, getting some of those lines torqued in that certain location, whoever knew it's going to take an hour to torque. Just actually getting access with a torque wrench to pull, 900 inch-pounds on a B nut, right? You don't really think that it's going to be that, take that long. So yeah, okay, I blew that part of it. But when you get into the actual ops check, how many times have you actually run an ops check on that system? What all is involved? You got your FSEUs, you got your CSEUs. This thing's got to be more or less rig checked. So I'm not doing actual rigging, but I have to verify that the everything lines up before I ever even put on hydraulics. And then, if I turn on the hydraulics, is it going to, is that torque shaft going to move? And if it does, am I going to cause, throw something out of sequence? Well, your slats are tied into your flaps, aren't they?
Right.
So now you have your two wing primary controls that are all tied into the same thing. And how many times have you done this check in your entire career?
That was your
first time. I'm be honest with you. I'm be honest with you. I got a 45-year guy. This is only his second time for doing this job.
Oh wow!
And the first time he did it was on a different fleet type.
Okay.
So when you start talking about the checks, the ops checks, here you are, you're looking at it and you're like, okay, I gotta read the tech data. I gotta interpret what it's telling me to do, and then pull this breaker, push this button, verify this, then do this, and then you're out there, you're making, you're having to clear it, making sure everything's happening. You're up and down, pulling rig pins, and you're trying to work through all this. And guess what? You're human.
Yes.
He's going to have to stop because, dang it, I did something. I stopped myself because I didn't do something in sequence, and now we got to start over. Okay. And so you only gain that experience of calling that ETIC by doing the job. Well, you got a 45-year guy who's only done it twice. Unless you're in a heavy maintenance hangar, and that's what you do on the regular,
right?
And except you're a flight line guy, you're not going to know exactly how to call that ETIC right on the spot. I can be honest with you, there's no way I could have called that within an hour. There's no way I could have called that ETIC within an hour.
Wow. Oh, that's an understatement, though.
The full job. Once leak check and ops check was done, I was spot on. Hey, I went ahead and sent a text over to management. I called MOCC. I got in touch with the ramp agent all within 5 minutes saying, hey, I got this much time before this is done. Go ahead and send the crew.
Okay.
That experience-wise, I can call it a dead on. But as far as the entire job, no way you could have called that.
Okay. That's pretty good. All right. Okay, Robert. So you knew this question was coming. If you did, you should have. If you look, and I know because you keep saying that this one is fresh to you because it just happened. Looking back, what was the biggest challenge of that hydraulic leak?
Oh,
Was it the repair itself or managing the uncertainty surrounding the repair?
no, because I've done enough jobs to where you managing the job is wasn't that difficult. You already know. You get into situations where you're putting nuts and bolts in, and it's all by touch, man. You're doing it blind, right?
Mm-hmm.
You cannot see what you're doing. Your hands are up in there, and you're having to feel the entire thing, right? Because there's no way you're going to get your head up in there. There's no way for seeing the job. So that's all experience. I'd say probably the toughest part in the entire thing was, as I said before, you know what? Thinking about it, it's kind of like a tooling thing.
Uh-huh.
We have so many special tools in this in aviation, and had I had a pair of 12, had I had a set of 12-point crow's feet. If I had a set of 12-point crow's feet for doing the torques.
This is crazy. This is crazy, Robbie. You know why I say that?
Why is that?
Because we had a meeting with the Snap-on man the other night, John Wacker, and I was telling the guys, like, a lot of times you're going to buy specialty tools instead of buying the whole set. And I was telling them the story about me buying the 9/16 12-point ProFoot. That's the only size I needed. I didn't get the whole set. I just got the 9/16. And now you're saying you actually needed the whole set. But
yeah,
here's the kick about that. Here's the kick about that. If you had that in your box, or if you had access to it, that job would probably be the only time that you needed it. But you're saying now, had you had that would have made life a lot easier for you.
Well, that's true. That's all true. But that's one of those type sets that the company usually has in the tool room. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But at a small station, it's not something they normally have. Don't think I'm not going to request it through Steve Gray. Don't think when I get back in town that there's going to be an email going out for certain tools that I'm gonna end up stocking in our tools. But yeah, in that one job I needed a 1 inch, a 1 5/16, a 5/8, and a 9/16 in that one job.
Okay, and that would have made it easier for you.
Right. But there was another job where I had a torque value to put on, and I forgot. I was replacing a valve in the right engine pylon. And man, it was everything I could do. And this one was by myself to actually get that thing torqued out, because just getting just getting something on it because of the angles and the tight, confined space. And had I had that 12-point then, the set, I could have done it. So I could see in the next decade me needing it, at least, well, heck, I've needed it twice in 1 year.
Yep.
So I could see in the next decade needing it 20 to 30 times.
Okay. All right. That's good. Okay. Let me ask you this, Robbie. We are going into our lightning round.
Okay.
All right. What is the biggest mistake new mechanics make? What is the biggest ETIC mistake new mechanics make?
Biggest ETIC mistake. Communication, man. And let me elaborate because it's kind of broad and generalized. Uh, Communication. You think you got the information you need, you don't. Whether you either studied prior history of the job, you talked to flight crew, you talked to turnover crew. Yeah, just being able to actually communicate effectively, um, and knowing, if you actually know what your job is, and that's assuming you have it, some bit of experience. You want to go any further? Any more questions to dig on that one?
No, that's it. Like I said, this the lightning round. Okay, second question for the lightning round. First thing coming to the top of your head. Most underrated troubleshooting skill.
Oh, that's easy, buddy. That's
Let 'em
reading
have
wiring
it.
diagrams.
Let 'em
That's
have it.
reading wiring diagrams.
There you go.
Wiring diagrams, wiring diagrams, wiring diagrams. And if I'm going to piggyback off of that because that's my original question, but actually being able to run meters.
Okay.
So I mean, that would it's kind of both. I mean, you got to be able to read a wiring diagram, but you also got to be able to utilize the different meters.
Okay. Now, can I interject something there?
You sure can.
All right. So, going back to my days of beginning back at Falcon Jet, when we went to systems class, the 7X class, Robbie, was 5 weeks long. So you had 4 weeks for system class, and then you had an extra week for avionics. And that instructor made us read every stinking diagram in that AML. And I have to be honest. That's where my wiring diagram skill set came from. It was not an option. So as I
but you're talking about repetition.
yes.
Yeah, you got to get, if you don't get reps, like doing this job I've been talking about the entire interview. I mean, if you don't get reps, and that's something that, in the moment, you're like, golly, this guy's killing me. But now you look back and you're like, man, I'm so glad he did that to us.
Yeah, I am.
Sometimes you don't know what you need.
Yeah, there you go. And you'd be surprised. Well, no, you wouldn't be surprised because you've seen it. How many aircraft mechanics cannot successfully read a wiring diagram?
Oh, I'm not going to throw a statistic out there, but yeah, yeah, and there are some who, I can fake it till I make it, right? And you may teach yourself on the job. You may actually be able to teach yourself somewhat on the job, but if you will get into a situation that if you don't learn how to read it, you're going to. You know what? I think it possibly could cost you your job.
Yeah, I agree.
I'll go as far as to say that it could cost you your job. In fact, I know that I had a really good mechanic who was fresh out of school. He's been working for 2 years in the industry, but he wanted to bid on a job with our company, and I was talking to my manager about it. He says, "Let me tell you something." He says, "The new interview is so wiring diagram heavy because of so many people who don't know how to read them.
That's it.
They will not get a shot if they can't read that wiring diagram."
And since you said that, Robbie, when I had my job interview for Job Family One, they take you through the process and they show you different symbols. And now, like you said, let's read the wiring diagram. Because I asked them, I said, "Y'all, I teach this every day. Y'all sure y'all don't want to give me another test? Because I think this is kind of unfair. I do this every day." Like, no, just which one? I said, "Okay, all right." Okay, got another one for the lightning round.
All right.
First thing come to your mind. In your honest opinion, what is worse, a long ETIC or an unrealistic ETIC? And you kind of,
Unrealistic.
you kind of spoke to this. Got it.
Unrealistic.
Why?
That's all I got to say. Why?
Yeah.
I mean, I think we've already touched base on that plenty, but why? Well, I mean, you've got a whole operation dependent upon you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, your little bubble that you're working in affects the whole ecosystem. And if you're unrealistic about it, then I mean, planning can't take care of planning, and the company's paying a crew to sit there. Well, first off, they're paying the crew. Secondly, they're paying for their hotel room. They're paying for their food. They're paying for your time. They're paying for all the ramp time, all the planners' time, MOCC. I mean, everybody's getting paid, but nothing's really happening because it's all pivots on you and your ability to say, hey, this is my realistic ETIC time. This is what we need to go by. And the key phrase is, hey, it could be adjusted, right?
Right.
Leave room for adjustment.
Now, Robbie, I don't think you realize, well, I'm sure you do. I'll just put it this way. In a 3-man station that you're at, if you set an unrealistic ETIC, how long is it going to take for your credibility to be tarnished?
Oh, it's going to be shot. It's going to be shot. Like, and I've got good rapport with, management. I got good rapport with MOCC. Man, I call and they're calling me by first name basis, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they know, but it would only take one, or being that I have the rapport that I do, it would definitely be 2.
Okay.
Because I would say, I would call them and be like, hey, this is my ETIC, right? And basically leave some room there. We'll advise, right? Is the key phrase. We'll advise. But if I give them an unrealistic ETIC and they turn around and they've set everything up and then it's done, it's excuse me, the job's not completed, or I'm not advising them and I'm not communicating with them, I might get one freebie. He had a bad day, right?
Yeah.
But I'm going to be on note. They're going to have it penciled in with a little Post-it pad on their computer. Watch this guy.
Yeah, with a frowny face beside your name.
Yeah, exactly. Watch this guy. He really put one on us last time.
Yeah. Okay, lightning round. First thing come to your mind. What is one habit every new mechanic should develop if they want to become a better troubleshooter?
Better troubleshoot. I'm gonna piggyback off what I said before, which is being able to obviously read wiring diagrams. So being able to get into the tech data and learn what you're actually working on. So whether you don't understand the system, get into the DNO and actually know what the description operation is, and it will break it down pretty basic for you. Okay. And there's not a mechanic I know that's worth his salt. Even the 45-year guy, we will always check in the DNO to make sure we are following through the system the way it was set up by the engineers to work.
There you go.
Know your ATAs. Oh my goodness. Know your ATAs. If you don't learn your ATAs, I mean, you don't memorize anything in this industry, but there's one thing you do memorize, and that's your ATAs.
That's it. Boy, that's gold.
Yeah, know your ATAs, because that's gonna put you in that system. That's your first step. So know your wiring diagrams, know your ATAs, and know how know how to, work your way through tech data. So, I mean, if you don't know how to work an iPad, well, you got a lot of training to do, partner.
Yep, you're right.
Any tech skills, computer skills, well, you better start hammering down and learn how to manipulate and work with it. Because even my 45-year guy, it was just last night when I was flying into town. He comes up on the plane. He's like, "Hey, can you locate this reference for me? Because you're much quicker at this than me."
Right,
like,
right.
We all have our skill sets, bud.
Oh man, that's pretty good. All right, okay. Last one for the lightning round. I just want you to think back, and you can reference your civilian or military time. What is one thing you wish someone had taught you earlier about ETICs?
Oh, good Lord. Take everything into account. Once again, what materials are you going to need? A great thing to focus on with this is, and I'm just going to go through real quick because it's not just one answer, but you got to take into account what your research, what you understand the system. If you don't know it, you're going to teach yourself. What materials are you going to need? I mean, you got to go out there and you start a job, and you don't be going back and forth between the shop to get all your equipment, all your tools, all your materials as far as fluids and absorbent pads, and so man, oh, Kenny, I mean, this to really think about this. I mean, there's so many things that that go into giving an effective ETIC. I mean,
Well,
I'd rather. Yeah. Go ahead.
Let me help you out because you kind of spoke to it. Can you imagine this? Let's say you got a job that you just started, and you didn't do your due diligence, check your AMM, your IPC, and you tear into this thing, and you got this airplane broke apart, and you can't put it back together because you're missing the O-ring. Don't have that O-ring in stock. You should have never started that job to begin with.
Oh yeah, which goes back to what we were talking about with this job. I mean, I never pulled the control valve off till I made sure I had parts in hand and that I'd already checked the IPC for the actual that the O-ring kit was complete. And being that there were 3 different size O-rings out of 4 O-rings, that I had the right ones and they were pre-located as to where I was going to put them when I actually got this thing off. Yeah, I mean, man, there's so much that goes involved. I mean, it's actually all based mainly off of experience. But man,
well,
sorry.
I didn't mean to make you lock up on that one.
No, man. I don't mean to stall. I mean, there's a lot of thought that goes into, what's the number one thing that someone could have taught me earlier in my career? I don't know, man. I think a lot of it's trial and error.
Okay.
I mean, and then there again goes back to your other question. Is it better to do a long or an unrealistic? I mean, man, if you don't know, shoot for long, and I can assure you that you'll learn from it.
Okay.
Yeah. I guess I do sound kind of stumped, but I mean, I'm racking my brain over 25 years. Like, man, what is one thing I wish someone had taught me?
Well, guess what? You don't have to struggle with that one because all of the things that you've given us tonight, I think and that's the goal to make it, hard to pinpoint one thing. Because like you said, it depends on which way you go with it, which angle you come from. All of this makes a difference. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Robbie, I really appreciate your time on a Friday night. But I got one more question to ask you before we close this podcast out. If you could, hopefully this one don't make you lock up. All right, finish this sentence.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, finish
Still
this
throwing
sentence.
Still throwing me under the bus here.
Okay, finish this sentence if you can. An ETIC is not a promise. It is a
educated guess.
There you go. An educated guess. I couldn't have said it. I was going to say an estimate, but both of those pretty much the same thing.
Yep. You got a experience, and that's your education. And yeah, you're making an estimate. You're making a guess. Hey, it's the best I can give you right now until I get into the job.
Mm-hmm. And a couple of things you said, and I always like to use the term, but you just hit it so many times I didn't get a chance. I tell the guys, be humble, but stay hungry.
Well, without a doubt. Without a doubt. Because if you lose that hunger, is when you're gonna sit there and start chasing that YouTube.
That's it. And also,
then you're gonna make a bad name for yourself.
And also something else that you said throughout this podcast: communicate.
Yep, without a doubt, brother.
That's it. All right. Well, man, this has been exciting. We've had a chance to go down memory lane from the time you pushed me in the bathroom.
Get out of my way.
I know, right? you got many types of things to do.
I got a plane to get out.
Yeah. Well,
what are you doing up here?
Yeah. Hey, man, thank you for your time on a Friday night. I know your time's gonna be limited at home. When you jump seating out?
Oh man, I'm heading out on Monday night, Tuesday morning around 2 a.m. And when I hit the ground, I'm off the plane, working the plane I flew in on.
There you go. All right. Well, you guys heard it straight from the Robbie Rodgers. This gonna close the second episode of Between the Gates podcast. Robbie, thank you. Go in there and spend some time with your family, man.
Welcome, buddy. Take care. All right.
All right. Thanks.
We'll talk soon. Bye.
All right.